Singapore authorities have confirmed that more than 1,500 speeding tickets were issued incorrectly, affecting motorists across multiple locations rather than a single camera or site. The Land Transport Authority has stated that the error originated from the enforcement process itself, not from driver behavior. All affected motorists will receive refunds for fines paid, and any demerit points recorded will be cancelled. Speed enforcement in Singapore is largely automated and designed to operate with a high level of accuracy. Notices are generated based on data captured by enforcement systems, with minimal human intervention. Because these systems are relied upon daily across the road network, confirmed errors of this scale are uncommon. The announcement therefore drew attention not for the penalties involved, but for what it revealed about how automated enforcement is monitored and corrected. According to LTA, the issue was detected during internal checks, rather than through appeals or public complaints. Once the anomaly was identified, affected cases were reviewed and corrective action was initiated. Authorities have emphasized that motorists do not need to take any action themselves, as refunds and the removal of demerit points will be handled administratively. Officials have also said there is no indication that the error resulted from external interference or deliberate misuse of the enforcement system. Investigations are ongoing to determine how the fault occurred and to prevent a recurrence, but detailed technical explanations have not yet been released. The consequences of such mistakes extend beyond the fines themselves. Speeding offenses carry demerit points that can influence insurance premiums and, in some cases, driving privileges. Even when errors are later corrected, the interim effects can be disruptive for those involved. This is why the authority has stressed that all records linked to the erroneous tickets will be fully cleared. The incident brings renewed focus to the role of automation in everyday enforcement. When systems function as intended, errors are rarely noticed. When they do not, the effects can multiply quickly across many cases. To understand why accuracy is critical, and how such systems are designed to safeguard against mistakes, it is useful to look more closely at how speed enforcement operates in Singapore and where checks are built into the process. Speed enforcement in Singapore relies on a network of automated systems intended to apply traffic laws consistently across the road network. These include fixed speed cameras, mobile enforcement units, and back-end processing systems that record vehicle data and determine whether an offense has occurred. Automation allows enforcement to operate continuously, particularly on busy roads where manual checks would be impractical. When a vehicle exceeds the posted speed limit, the system captures information such as the recorded speed, location, time, and vehicle details. This data is processed centrally to confirm whether enforcement criteria are met before a notice is issued. In most cases, this process functions without direct human involvement until after a penalty is generated. The design prioritizes efficiency and consistency, but it also means that accuracy at every stage is critical. Authorities have not disclosed the specific technical fault that led to the recent errors, and investigations are still ongoing. What has been confirmed is that the issue affected enforcement outcomes rather than reflecting actual driving behavior. A problem in calibration, configuration, data transmission, or processing logic can result in incorrect penalties being issued repeatedly before the fault is detected. Singapore's enforcement framework includes internal monitoring and audit mechanisms intended to identify such anomalies. These checks review system performance and enforcement data to ensure that results remain within expected parameters. In this case, LTA has stated that the error was identified through internal reviews, indicating that safeguards did function, although not before incorrect notices were issued. The scale of the incident, affecting more than 1,500 cases across different locations, illustrates how automated systems can amplify errors. Unlike isolated human mistakes, a technical fault can be replicated many times in a short period. This is why authorities have stressed the importance of early detection and rapid response once irregularities are found. For motorists, this context helps explain both the strengths and the limits of automated enforcement. When such systems work as intended, they promote fairness and predictability. When they do not, the effectiveness of oversight and correction becomes just as important as the enforcement itself. This leads to a broader question about how responsibility is managed once an error is confirmed, an issue that comes into focus in the next part of the story. Once the error was confirmed, the authorities moved to address its direct impact on affected motorists. The Land Transport Authority has stated that all fines paid under the erroneously issued speeding tickets will be refunded and that any associated demerit points will be fully removed from drivers' records. Importantly, these corrections are being carried out administratively without requiring motorists to submit appeals or supporting documents. According to official statements, affected drivers are being notified directly. Refunds are expected to be processed through the original payment channels where possible, while demerit points recorded in the system will be voided centrally. The authority has indicated that this will be done in phases, reflecting the number of cases involved and the need to verify records carefully. A specific completion timeline has not been publicly confirmed. This approach reflects a clear assignment of responsibility. Authorities have acknowledged that the error lay within the enforcement system rather than with individual motorists. By handling refunds and record corrections centrally, the process avoids shifting the burden onto drivers to challenge penalties that were issued incorrectly in the first place. However, some aspects remain less clear. Authorities have not detailed whether any motorists experienced temporary consequences before the error was identified, such as administrative complications or changes to insurance assessments. There has also been no indication that compensation beyond refunds and the removal of demerit points is being considered. At present, the response has focused on restoring records to their correct state rather than addressing secondary effects. Beyond the immediate remedies, the incident raises broader questions about institutional accountability and automated enforcement. Automation is intended to improve consistency and reduce discretion, but it also requires robust processes for correction when failures occur. In this case, LTA's public acknowledgement and remedial action align with established public sector practices, even as technical details remain under review. The handling of refunds and records provides insight into how enforcement agencies balance efficiency with responsibility. It also sets the context for what comes next, whether this episode leads to changes in oversight, monitoring, or operational procedures. As reviews continue, authorities have characterized the incident as a systems-level lapse rather than a policy failure. The Land Transport Authority has said it is examining how the error occurred and what adjustments are needed to reduce the risk of similar faults in the future. While detailed technical findings have not yet been released, officials have indicated that the focus is on strengthening validation, monitoring, and early warning processes within automated enforcement systems. This response reflects how automation is intended to function within Singapore's transport framework. Automated enforcement is used to ensure consistency and scale, but it operates alongside institutional oversight. In this case, internal checks eventually identified the problem, even though incorrect notices had already been issued. Authorities have acknowledged that earlier detection would have limited the impact and that lessons from the incident will be applied to improve safeguards. For residents, the episode highlights an important distinction. Automated systems are not expected to be infallible, but they are expected to be accountable and correctable. Public confidence depends not only on accuracy, but on how quickly and transparently institutions respond when errors are found. By canceling penalties, refunding fines, and handling corrections centrally, the authorities have sought to restore trust without placing additional burdens on motorists. Officials have also been careful not to present the incident as evidence of widespread unreliability. Singapore's speed enforcement framework processes a large volume of cases daily, and confirmed errors affecting this many cases remain uncommon. The current episode has been described as an exception that exposed a specific weakness rather than a sign of systemic failure. Looking ahead, any changes are likely to be incremental rather than structural. There has been no indication that automated speed enforcement will be scaled back or replaced. Instead, refinements are expected to focus on internal controls, testing protocols, and data verification, with the aim of identifying anomalies earlier in the enforcement cycle. In summary, the erroneous issuance of more than 1,500 speeding tickets represents a significant lapse, but also a test of institutional response. The immediate outcome is clear. Fines will be refunded and demerit points removed. The broader significance lies in how enforcement agencies apply the lessons from this episode to strengthen accuracy and maintain confidence in a system that plays a central role in road safety across Singapore.